I'm 29 and my wife is 27. We've been together for 4 years and married for 2. We're both from the same hometown but live in a different city. She's in our hometown for a family event and I stayed back due to work. We've been trying to get pregnant for 3 months and it's happened. The problem is the way I found out about it. My friend congratulated me by posting a screenshot of an Instagram story posted by one of my wife's friends in our group chat. The post was my wife crying and hugging some of her friends with the caption, "You're going to be the best mom." I called her right away and she answered pretty quickly saying, "I have news, babe." All I said was, "I know, you're pregnant." She replied, "Well, babe, how did you know?" I said, "Saw it on Insta. Didn't think to call me first, huh?" She said, "What? I didn't post anything." I responded, "Yeah, but your friends did. That's one way to find out I'm going to be a dad. Thanks." And I hung up. I was furious. She kept calling me and I didn't answer until my sister called shortly after. My sister asked me what was going on because she'd just arrived at my in-laws' house and everyone was freaking out, fighting, and my wife was locked up in her room. I told her what happened and she said, "There's no way she would do that." I replied, "Well, she did." My sister said she was going to find out what was going on. A little later, my sister called me back and explained everything. At that point, I'd calmed down, thinking it was just a crappy friend who decided to post without permission. But my sister filled me in on the details. My wife was late on her monthly, and while hanging out with a friend, they thought, "What if you're already pregnant?" So they bought a bunch of pregnancy tests, all of which came out positive. They freaked out, told her parents, and then texted some friends in town to come over from when she found out to when her friend posted on Instagram. Only 2 hours had passed. My wife told at least 10 people before telling me. For the record, my sister told me that the argument was going on when she arrived because the other friends were upset with the one who posted on Instagram. Apparently, they all thought it was a crappy thing to do and were angry at her, but they also couldn't understand why my wife hadn't told me sooner. I finally called my wife and she was crying. She apologized and said she'd planned to surprise me, which was why she hadn't told me yet. I was skeptical and pointed out that if she'd really wanted to surprise me, she wouldn't have been ready to tell me right when I called. She went silent and I told her I needed time to think. She yelled, saying I couldn't just walk away and that we needed to discuss it. I replied, "Why do we need to talk? So you can lie again?" And I hung up. A ton of people have been messaging me, but I'm honestly exhausted. This has drained me. I've cried randomly, which is unusual for me. I'm not a crier. This isn't supposed to be a huge deal, but it feels like I've been hit by a truck. My sister sent me a message that really stuck. "Hey, I know this sucks and it was crappy of her, but don't let this ruin it for you. You're going to be a dad. You're going to be an amazing dad. This is great. The only thing keeping me going right now is knowing that I'll be a dad. I've dreamed of this, and all I hope is that the baby is healthy. I'll probably swallow my pride and pretend I'm fine just to avoid making my wife too emotional during the pregnancy. Am I the idiot for being upset that I found out my wife was pregnant via social media? Not the idiot. That's some crappy behavior indeed from that one friend. Who steals a pregnancy announcement? She posted someone else's pregnancy even before the person. That's just weird, but, well, congrats on being a father, and good luck. It's wild how people can be so thoughtless. I doubt she was thoughtless, that seems intentional. My guess is she's jealous of her friend and wants to steal the spotlight on this pregnancy. I unfortunately had someone once who would absolutely do something like this in a heartbeat. Ugh. My cousin went with me to my final wedding dress fitting and pickup. She recorded me with my dress on and was about to post it to her Instagram story as well. Thankfully, I saw that she was recording and talking on the video, so I was able to stop her. I was like, "What the heck are you thinking? This is not on the friend." The wife, her parents, and a friend decided to text a bunch of friends to come over. Basically, they decided to have a party of 10 people, and not once in a couple of hours did the wife think, I should probably tell the dad. Does she even care about him? That is the real betrayal here. The friend may have thought she was invited to a pregnancy announcement when a dozen people were celebrating. Thank you. I find it bizarre no one else is holding the wife accountable. This is news you share with your husband right away. Even if he was at work, you explain it's an emergency just so you could inform him. But she decided to invite friends and family over and have a big celebration party first. So disrespectful. Update, thank you so much for caring. Just to clarify a couple of things about her friends, they're all very nice people. I've known them for a long time now. My sister is part of the friend group. Some have been friends since they were 12. My wife is the only one who lives in a different city, so they always hang out a lot when she's in town. I cannot emphasize enough how out of character this whole situation is for her. She has many flaws like everyone else, but being inconsiderate is not one of them. That's why I woke up in the middle of the night with a feeling like I was actually completely wrong about this. She wouldn't do this on purpose. There's no way. So I texted her that everything was fine and I would drive the 4 hours down there to talk. She was actually awake and asked if she could call. She did and said she wanted to come home. I said that I was going over there to pick her up. She asked, "Are we okay?" I just said yes, and she started to cry. I told her I was very happy and dying to see her, but we must talk about it. She calmed down a bit after that. I asked for a day off and my boss was fine with it, so I'm actually going to my hometown right now. It's all settled. I, 27 female, have been with my boyfriend, 29, for 5 years. We live together, have a dog and share finances. Overall, our relationship is great. But lately I've been feeling a little frustrated about one thing. He constantly calls me his wife to other people, even though we're not engaged or married. At first, I thought it was cute. It felt like a term of endearment, and I didn't mind because I assumed we were heading in that direction. But after 5 years, there's been zero talk of an engagement. I've dropped hints, brought up marriage in casual conversations, and even directly asked about it once, but he just shrugs it off saying, "We're already basically married, what's the rush?" What really got under my skin happened last weekend. At a family gathering, one of his cousins congratulated us on our engagement. I was confused and asked what they were talking about. Apparently my boyfriend has been referring to me as his fiancée. Later I confronted him about it, asking why he was calling me that when he hadn't proposed. He laughed and said, "It's just easier. People get the dynamic and it's not like it matters." I told him it does matter to me. If he's going to call me his wife or fiancée, he should take steps to make that a reality. Otherwise, it feels like he's enjoying the benefits of a committed relationship without making any real commitment. He got defensive and said I was overreacting. He doesn't see the big deal because it's just a word and doesn't change how he feels about me. I told him to stop using those terms unless he's serious about marriage, and now he's sulking, saying I'm being unreasonable and putting pressure on him. I don't think I'm being unreasonable, but maybe I'm too close to this to see it objectively. Am I the idiot? Edit, it's such a double standard. Early on in our relationship, he made me cut off my male friends because he was convinced they were interested in me, even though I had no interest in them. He was mischaracterizing my relationship with my friends, but he accused me of being the one that was mischaracterizing my relationships with them back then and didn't budge on it. And he's not budging now either. He'd be furious if I did the same thing and misrepresented our relationship to others. It feels like he's holding me to a standard he's unwilling to meet himself. If we're not actually engaged or married, then he shouldn't be calling me that, especially if it's just to make things easier for him socially. It's about being honest and respectful of me. Not the idiot. Otherwise, it feels like he's enjoying the benefits of a committed relationship without making any real commitment. You do realize this is exactly what you've allowed to happen. Not that there's anything wrong with it. However, if you want this, it's time to put your foot down and give the ultimatum. In other words, it's time for him to put out or get out. I'm concerned about how dismissive he is of OP's feelings. A relationship is about two people, and if he truly doesn't think it's a big deal and she does, it should be easy for him to stop using a false word to mischaracterize their relationship. But it clearly is a big deal to him. He's deliberately lying to people about the nature of his relationship. Why? What is it easier than? What is he afraid of? Also, what's the rush doesn't apply after 5 years. What's the hold-up applies. OP, what do you think his response would be if you told some cute guy that he was just a friend? He'd be angry that you described your relationship in a way that wasn't accurate with the intention to mislead people. I've got one question for you. Why are you with him? No offense, but you're in a pretty crappy situation and you definitely had a hand in putting yourself there. Want a better life? Dump the dead weight. My sister's wedding is coming up and I want to go, but my wife doesn't. She doesn't have a good relationship with my family, and while everyone is polite and cordial when they meet, many issues have happened in the past. My wife doesn't want to deal with any more issues that might come up at the wedding. We have 3 kids and live in a different country. I've asked my wife if it's okay for me to go for 5 days, pre-wedding plus the actual wedding, as I'm the eldest and this is the last wedding in my family. My dad also passed a couple of years back, so I have the mantle passed on as the lead of the family. She was not okay with this and said she could look after the kids for a couple of days, but not more than that. We cannot get any support here as we don't have family, and apart from school, the kids would be at home with their wives. The 5 days have now come down to 4. I can go for the 2 days of the actual wedding and then come back, but being there for the 4 days would mean a lot to my mom. I asked my wife again and she doesn't want to talk about it, as she gets stressed when I bring my family up. I'm feeling quite indecisive and frustrated, as I cannot make a decision without hurting people in my life. Not the idiot. Does your wife allow your children to see their extended family on your side? And/or is there a reason you can't bring a kid or two? That would relieve your wife's perceived burden and also give your kids a chance to get to know your family. I don't see why she can't deal with kids by herself for 5 days to begin with, support system or not. It's not like they're all under 5 and that would be a little crazy, but still doable. I had 3 kids within 4 years, and my husband was gone for work for weeks and months. No, it's not insane to expect she can manage for 4 days. The tween can be very self-sufficient, pre-tween nearly as much, and both can help a bit with the baby. She just doesn't want him to go. Very controlling, inconsiderate and unfair. Without context on why your wife and family don't get along, go to the wedding. Take your children with you. Watch them yourself. You shouldn't even need the family to help you, especially if you think your wife can do it by herself, right? Your wife has given her reason and established a boundary. I suspect your family was not kind to her, critical, etc., and you supported them or were indifferent. Now you want to interact with the family that wronged her and you want her to watch the children and put it all on her while you do what you want with no regard to her point of view. You want her to be understanding of you, yet you do not understand her stance? Sorry, but you are the idiot. Update, thanks for all the feedback, some beneficial comments and advice. To give more context, yes, I am willing to take the kids, even all 3 with me. However, my wife is not okay with that. My family and wife are on speaking terms and even visiting terms. However, my extended family, aunts, uncles and cousins, are not someone my wife really wants to bond with. They would be at the wedding, which is a major reason my wife doesn't want to really go. None of the kids are special needs, and yes, my first 2 are independent and can help out. My wife is quite amazing and understanding of a lot of things, but we always conflict when it comes to my family. I've been trying to be supportive of her, but she's not willing to let go of past transgressions, which were mostly fueled by my mom's siblings and their kids, which caused a lot of friction. I should have stepped up more and supported her more, which I'm trying to do. I'm okay with her coming with the kids and staying over at her parents' house while I go to the wedding, but she's not okay with this either because it would further create problems with her family and mine. I tried to have a conversation again, but it turned into a fighting match, with us not speaking in the end. My boyfriend of 3.5 years and I have been living together for 1.5 years in an apartment with one other roommate. My boyfriend got the dog, 5 male, around the time we met, and I love him. I take care of the dog every morning because my boyfriend doesn't wake up early enough, but we both leave for the day around 7:30 a.m. I'm in the 3rd semester of my master's program, and my advisor expects the first draft of my thesis in 3 weeks so I can graduate on time in May. I work best in my office where I have a second monitor and space to spread out research materials. I also have ADHD and take medication, so I'm most productive in long, uninterrupted blocks of time before evening hours. Previously, I could stay home late or come home early from school to help with the dog. My boyfriend's old job was only 15 minutes away from the apartment, so he could come home for lunch, and sometimes our roommate let the dog out at 3 p.m. Since October, my boyfriend started a new job 30 minutes away, and I'm now pulling 12-hour days with classes, teaching, grading, and my thesis. This has led to arguments about the dog's care. For example, today, Friday, I plan to work on my thesis all day in my office since I have no meetings, labs, or classes. However, as I was leaving, my boyfriend told me that I needed to at least come home once during the day to let the dog out. I reminded him that it takes me 30 minutes to commute each way, 15 or 20 minutes of walking to my car and 10-minute drive, and that I work best with uninterrupted blocks of time. He accused me of deliberately avoiding responsibility and said I should help because I had no other obligations. I told him I was happy to take care of the dog when I could, but he shouldn't expect me to take care of him more than I actually could. I take the dog out every morning at around 7:15 a.m, but that leaves a long gap until our roommate arrives at 3 p.m. While I feel bad about that, I cannot afford delays in my thesis timeline. If I don't graduate on time, we'll have to renew our lease, and I might end up paying for 2 leases if I can't find a job in this city. I've been searching for months, and there aren't many options in my field here. I've talked to him about paying for a dog walker or paying our roommate to take him out every day, But he's strongly against those ideas, although he just got a raise. I think he sees this as a test of my commitment to the relationship, though we both said we want to get married. The icing on the cake is that I've always wanted a cat, and my plan was always to get one after graduation. However, he says that I can't get one. He expects me to take time out of my studies to take care of his dog, and yet won't let me get my own furry friend. So, am I the idiot for refusing to come home during the day to take care of his dog while trying to finish my thesis? Not the idiot. You're not in the wrong here. It's his dog, and while it's great that you've been helping out by taking him out every morning, the bulk of the responsibility should fall on your boyfriend, not you, especially when you're in the middle of something as intense and time-sensitive as finishing your thesis. What makes this hypocritical is the double standard with the cat. He expects you to sacrifice your time and energy for his pet, but he's unwilling to compromise on something you want in the future. That's not a fair balance in a partnership. Do not marry this man until you two go through some serious couples counseling together. You've offered him some good solutions, but he only wants things his way. You're right to prioritize your thesis. That is your job right now. And he won't let you get a cat. You should be equal partners in the household and relationship. Talk things out, yes, but as a grown woman, you don't have to ask his permission to do things in your life.